Hi, I'm Jeff Gonzalez, president of Trident Concepts, and today I'm here with Brownells Daily Defense videos to talk to you about workplace EDC considerations. So, right out of the gate, first thing we need to talk about is company policy. What is the company policy? Are you aware of the fact that it is prohibited, restricted from carrying firearms? If you don't know, step number one, learn. Ask questions, read, whatever it takes for you to find out what are the requirements or what is the restrictions. After that, if you feel like you have a justifiable reason for why you need to be armed in your workplace, for whatever reason, maybe you were the victim of a violent crime, maybe you are a potential stalker, maybe you have a restraining order out, then it's possibly a good conversation to have with your chain of command. It couldn't hurt to bring that up and let them know that this is the daily strife that I live through, and it would help my work productivity to know that I can protect myself while I'm here. Now, you don't know what kind of response that's going to generate, and it's obviously something that you need to give serious consideration to. But it also could be a good conversation to have where you might find out that they're sympathetic to your situation, and maybe they grant you special permission as long as you follow certain conditions X, Y, and Z. So consider that. Next is going to be vehicle storage. So you work in a restricted workplace. You can't take a firearm, but your commute to and from work is lengthy. And now you're looking at, an hour, 60 minutes to 90 minutes in the vehicle. Well, that's a lot of time. Would you want to be armed during that time period? So the question is, well, if I can't carry in my workplace, can I carry in my vehicle, secure the firearm in my vehicle, then go to work? And so that brings up a good question about vehicle storage. How do you store or secure that firearm inside of your vehicle? And one of the things we talk about is, again, you have to be very careful because we try to minimize the amount of gun handling to prevent accidental or negligent discharges. So the more opportunities to handle the firearm, the more opportunities there is to have a negligent discharge. So when it comes to that, let's talk about how to safely don and doff that firearm. So donning, putting on, doffing, taking off. And when it comes to putting on, one of the things that I recommend is if you can have the gun holster combination in a configuration that allows you to take it on and off easily, what that does is that protects the trigger during all that gun handling, which means that if you're cramped inside of your vehicle and you're trying to pull it off or trying to put it on, if you know that that firearm is secure and safe, protected inside of your holster, that's going to give you a little bit more comfort to take care of that. The other thing that I talk about is when you're trying to secure that, remember that you need to make sure that you secure it, not hide it. So that means securing it inside some sort of lockbox or locked container or out of view inside of your trunk where it can be secured. And just remember that that's going to lead to a little bit of attention at some point. So parking is going to be important. You don't want to do it right in front of the grand windows that you have there where everybody can look out and see what you're doing or see something happening and wonder, what could they be doing? This also kind of brings into the equation our review of backup guns and how important the backup guns are. We've seen several different scenarios in workplace environments that were restrictive of sorts, and the individuals had to change their philosophy on what they carried. And a lot of times they went to backup guns and even smaller micro compact guns. And I think that's good. It's a good conversation to have. The old adage that a gun is better than no gun might help you to accept that, okay, well, this may not be the best firearm to meet my needs, but it's what I have or what I can take with me and conceal consistently. But this also brings in the conversation off-body carry. And off-body carry is one of these scenarios where I might have the firearm and it's maybe secured in some other bag, box, container, maybe a briefcase. And the idea behind that is that I can secure that and always keep it with me. But the problem that you run into is that when you leave your office space or walk away from your cubicle, you've left that firearm unattended. Even though it might be secured, it's not secured from somebody just grabbing and walking out. So you have to keep that in mind, that off-body has some advantages, but it also has some disadvantages. Once you realize that, okay, I'm kind of in a pickle here, I can't have the tools that I would like to have, well, that doesn't mean that you're unarmed. You can consider other options. For instance, less lethal. Less lethal is something to consider. That could be anything from perhaps OC spray, maybe even a collapsible baton, even some sort of edged weapon. But there's other options that you might have to consider that you use as a substitute for your firearm when you're in those conditions. This is going to ultimately lead you to planning. You're going to need to think about, first of all, how am I going to do this? How am I going to commute to work? Go ahead, take off my gun, secure it, and then when I'm done with work, move out to my vehicle, go ahead and don my gun securely and safely, and then get back in my vehicle. So you're going to have to plan about how you're going to do that. But you also want to plan, well, what's my response going to be? How am I going to respond to a situation? How am I going to respond when I do have the luxury of having a firearm? And how am I going to respond when I don't have the luxury of having a firearm? These are the types of questions that you want to be asking yourself now and rehearsing and thinking and preparing for, so that hopefully, God forbid, you never have to use them. But if you did, you at least had the opportunity to think them through beforehand. All right, well, I'm Jeff Gonzalez. Would love to hear any questions or comments. Please feel free to post them down below. Until then, take care and stay safe.